Happy Wednesday, everyone. I am noticing that my special non-laptop webcam here puts me in a much higher definition than I'm used to seeing on these videos. Anyway, hi. I got a big stack of comic books here. This is my normal weekly haul. If this isn't your first time here, you know that I do this every single Wednesday. I get an unhealthy amount of comic books every single Wednesday, and then I go live and I show them off. Hello, Paul. Nashville. It's going to take me a while to make that transition. Okay. So I've got this stack here. There are also two more here that are impossible for me to randomize in this stack because they are not typical comic book size. Let's do that. Okay. Does that even work? I feel like this angle is too close or something. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? I'm not a professional. I'm going to do a very basic shuffle because if I'm being honest, I did a pretty ridiculously thorough shuffle of all of my comics. I've read a bunch of these already, so I didn't want to keep them in the same order that they were in when I read them. I want my commentary to be a little spontaneous. So I'm going to put this stack face down on the table and one by one go through everything that I got this week. Hello, Jennifer. You always want the camera looking down at you, not up. So don't do this. Is that what you're saying? Or when you put your head down and you get that nasty like double chin or like quintuple chin in my case. Okay. Just too much space here and not enough space here on this camera right now, but whatever. You get me in a much cleaner image, so I'm gonna go with that. Okay, enough dilly-dallying. First book on the stack. What is this? Harley Quinn animated series, The Eat Bang Kill Tour. This is number 6 out of 6. This is one of the few books in this pile that I have not read yet. I believe this is the final issue of this miniseries, which honestly and pretty emotional. It's been very heartfelt. This is a cute kind of love story, which doesn't really come to mind when I think about Harley Quinn. It's silly and it's definitely got the vibe of the HBO Max animated show, but this has a lot more of an emotional heart at the center of it than I remember the show having. It's been a while since I've gone back and watched that cartoon, but it's a cool book. I'm surprised at how much it's affecting me. Jennifer says I haven't read all of my books yet, so I may need to pause to avoid spoilers. You don't need to be here. We're going to be having a show on Friday. In case nobody knows, this is a good time to plug Comic Talk Live that I do with Jennifer. Comics Will Break Your Heart and Bearded Comic Bro, aka Greg, every Friday, usually 6 p.m. Pacific time. Although sometimes we go later. We start later because it's our show, and who cares? All right. I'm just going to get this one out of the way because it's big and there's no hiding it. This is Suicide Squad Blaze number 1. This is a big boy comic. Trying to show the comparison here size-wise. It's a little taller, a little wider than a normal book. The extra space is pretty well used in this book. It's very cinematic, which is appropriate because this comic feels very much like The Suicide Squad, the movie from last summer, in a good way. And I say that as somebody who is not really a Suicide Squad person, but this comic was... it's fun. It manages, maybe it's my problem, but I reading this, I couldn't separate the film versions of these characters from, any comic book based version. I saw John Cena in here while I was reading this. I saw Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I even heard Sylvester Stallone's King Shark in here while I was reading. So if you enjoyed the movie The Suicide Squad, this is worth reading. But I also think this is just a really cool book in and of itself. It's going to be a 3-issue miniseries, Suicide Squad Blaze. I don't even think I need to get into the plot. It's a Suicide Squad book, so these people are being rallied together to take someone out who normal superheroes really can't fight. It's a cool book. read it. If you like Suicide Squad already, you're going to enjoy it. And even if you're like me and the concept, the team has never really appealed to you before, I still think you'll appreciate it. I am pleasantly surprised with that one. Looking forward to the other two, but DC's Black Label books, especially the big boys like that, have been, I think, coming out bi-monthly. So it'll be a while before issue 2 comes out. So I'll just have to hold my horses on that one. All right, what's he on the stack? This is Daisy, number 3. 3 out of 5 from Dark Horse Comics. This book got real dark. It's fun. I'm going to crack it open. I brought a glove because I'm me, and I don't like touching comics. Maybe I just have extra greasy fingers, but like these things get fingerprints on them, so I'm going to wear a glove. Last week, I made the decision to not open a lot of my comics because I didn't want to touch them. But I feel like sometimes you got to get the inside scoop on some of these books. This is Daisy from Dark Horse Comics, 3 out of 5, written by Colin Lorimer. Lorimer with art by, let me open it up because there's a lot of names here. I don't want to. Story and art by Colin Lorimer. So yeah, I would have made a mistake there. This is it's like a cult horror story about a lady who has a missing son, and she gets a phone call telling her to go look for her son in this weird town. She gets there and finds a group of children who seem to be kind of under the sway of this lady named Daisy. I don't even think Daisy's on the cover here, but obviously you can see a bunch of the really creepy children. And it turns out a lot of these, I don't know how to say it. I think it's just Daisy. The plot's a little more confusing than I would like, but there is, they are resurrecting animals from the dead, which, it took a pretty grisly turn in issue 2. There was a very graphic, very cool death scene that I wanted to show on my Instagram stories, but it was a 2-page spread, and that's a very hard image to capture and put online. But here is an example of that's very bright. There's a lot of reflections here, unfortunately, but you can see some of these resurrected dead animals kind of attacking the town. The story is honestly a little harder to describe than I would like. I'm enjoying this book, especially the more it goes on. I'm liking it more and more. It's definitely leaning more into the horror elements. Whereas before, in the first couple issues, it was very much more religious. It's definitely a religious cult with horror flavor. So it's got a lot of ingredients that I like. And so far, now that it is 3 out of 5 issues down, I can pretty safely say I like this book, unless the last 2 really screw it up. Daisy has been a fun surprise. Not a lot of other people are reading that book either, so it makes me feel cool. Okay, what's this? Devil's Reign, number 4. I have not read this one, but I've been enjoying Devil's Reign so far. I think there's only one more left after this. This here has Kingpin and I think Typhoid Mary on the cover. I think they're getting married. I don't know. For some reason, I have a problem like retaining a lot of the information specifically in the Devil's Reign world. I feel like this book is coming out really fast. I don't think that's true, but it feels like I'm reading, is Devil's Reign coming out twice a month? Or is time just moving way faster for me now that I'm 33? I think the answer is both. Sal has been loving Daisy. Okay, well, that's cool. I'm glad it's not just me. It's fun. I didn't think I would like it, especially because religious stuff is always a little hit or miss for me, but it's like a religious cult who kill people. So I'm into that. It's a cool book. Speaking of cool books, this is Apache Delivery Service number 2. I think this is going to be a 5-issue series. This is a mini series. I don't remember the exact number. It's either 4 or 5 issues altogether. Sal says, I think I gave up on those connecting variants. Yeah, the Devil's Reign connecting variants, there was an error with issues 2 and 3, and they didn't exactly line up the right way, which is a bummer. But I'm still going with it. I've already got them all pre-ordered, so I can't cancel now. This is another Dark Horse miniseries that I don't know a lot of other people are reading. It's about a soldier in the Vietnam War. It's actually a lot like Two Moons, which is a book I really like from Image, both of which feature a Native American soldier fighting in a war. This is the Vietnam War. Two Moons takes place during the Civil War. But he's like the only, actually, he is Navajo, but everybody in his platoon calls him Apache because people are kind of insensitive sometimes, especially back then. He's a guy who is definitely, he doesn't fit in with the rest of the soldiers in his group, so he's kind of like a lone wanderer. He spends a lot of time hunting by himself. He's definitely a lone ranger type, and he runs into this guy in the middle of the bush in the Vietnam jungle, and he is searching for like lost Nazi gold, and he recruits the main character in this book, whose name I cannot remember because I have a useless brain inside of my skull. He recruits the main character of this book to help him track down the missing gold, because he's been watching him and he knows that he is very good with navigating, and he sees that he's spent a lot of time out in the jungle. So I think this is, if it's not a 4-issue series, it's a 5-issue series, and either way, it is close to halfway done. I like it. It's different. I'm noticing more and more war comics are finding their way into my pull list, and I'm okay with that. Every now and then, it's a nice change of pace. I think especially the more tired I get of standard superhero books, the more risks I'm willing to take like this. Apache Delivery Service. It's a fun one. Fun might not be the right word, but I really like it. Comic book jackpot. I only bought X Deaths of Wolverine #2, Scorched 2, and Gwen Stacy. We have 0 books in common. I did not get any of those. Spoiler alert, none of those are in this stack, which, for the record, is still this. There's still that many here. Next up, what do we got? What is this? Ooh, okay. We got Joker. Joker #12. I have not read this one yet either, but I love this cover. I'm going to take it out and show the cover on camera, but I don't think it's going to make it that much of a difference because it is a very glossy cardstock cover, and DC cardstock variants are the main reason I have started wearing gloves while I read comics, because they are fingerprint magnets. Oof. Yeah, I really like this one. This is a variant done by Zaffino. What is his first name? Gerardo Zaffino. Joker in a straitjacket, and yet he somehow still manages to write ha 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 all over the wall. Joker only has 2 more issues left to go. James Tynion is about to bounce on this book, which is cool. I'm okay with that. My appreciation for Joker has gone up and down over the course of its run. I think it's still my least favorite thing that James Tynion is doing, but the decision to make this a Jim Gordon book featuring the Joker occasionally is a much smarter choice than just making a story about the Joker, starring the Joker from his perspective. That would have been a mistake, I feel like. But this has been a cool story, and there's only 2 more issues, and I'm interested to see how it wraps up. I'm also interested to see who is going to write it after Tynion leaves. I'm probably going to get it, just because my pull list apparently cannot shrink. It can only grow. But I'll need to, I don't know. It's a high bar. And I think whoever does take over that run after James Tynion leaves has a lot to live up to. I'm not even sure if it's going to continue after he's done. So either way, I might be lucky. Okay. What is this? This is The Fourth Man from AWA. Where are you? There you are, down here. AWA. This is #2 of 4. Yeah, it's a 4-issue series. I have not read this one yet either, only because I'm going to spoil something for you guys real quick. I'm going to try and record it actually right when I'm done with this. I'm going to record my favorite comics of January list, and I have The Fourth Man #1. The first issue of that series. I'm not sure where it ranks on the list, but it was one of my favorite books of last month. The first issue of The Fourth Man. So I don't want to read this and kind of taint my commentary on that book, so I'm saving it. But this has been a fun kind of mystery. I don't want to say comedy. There's comic elements in it, but it's a crime murder mystery thriller It's a cool book from AWA. I'm really enjoying this one. There's at least one other AWA book in this stack too. I think 2 more. Fourth Man one was very nice. Yeah, I agree. Okay, what's this? Oh God! All right. This is taking it out. I'm taking it out, you guys. It's official. This is my least favorite book that I'm currently subscribed to. Future State Gotham. I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I'm going to reiterate it because while reading this book, it really just hit me. 100%, without a doubt, my least favorite book that I'm currently subscribed to. It's not for me. It is just not for me. I'd like to think that if I don't like a book, then there at least could be something redeemable in it that maybe somebody else would like. But I don't know, especially now that we have been... Future State was a DC thing that happened last February, so it's been a full year. And this book has just been... It's gross. I don't like the story. The artwork just is so bland and unappealing. It is very much influenced by manga, which is why I want to say, like, even though I don't like it, maybe other people will, but I have a hard time giving it that much of a benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to find a picture to show you guys. It's just very meh. And also they have a new version of the Joker in the storyline, which has to be the most ridiculous design for a comic book character that I have seen in forever. I have a hard time thinking of a different character that I have. Oh my God, here we go. There you go, guys. So the next Joker is right there. He is this big, giant guy in a patchwork onesie with a flaming white mask, a white ball mask. And he says, "Har, har, har." And you can see it up there. There's a ha, 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 but with W's and R's in there. He looks absolutely ridiculous. I cannot think of one good thing about this run. The best thing about it, honestly, is the backup stories. There is a little short backup story in the back of each one of these issues that is a standalone. It's almost I'm pretty sure it's just a Batman Black and White story. I never read that run, but this issue is drawn by Sean Gordon Murphy, right? Or just Sean Murphy, with actually the story is done by John Arcudi, who is the writer of Two Moons, who I was just talking about. The backup stories in this have been pretty solid, actually, but I still don't think that's worth picking this book up just for random little 4-page stories in the back that don't tie in together or really. Yeah, I keep getting this because I have the feeling it's not going to last very long, and I don't want to like drop it and not get the full set. But if it keeps going and going and going with no end in sight, like, and the fact that they canceled Wonder Girl a couple weeks ago, really kind of bums me out because I didn't love that run either, but it had its merit, and she's a really cool character, and I think it had some growing pains, I guess you could say, but there was ups and downs to the Wonder Girl run, which made it 7 issues before it got canceled. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure there's only 2 or 3 other people at Mill Geek Comics that are subscribed to Future State Gotham. I don't know who's reading this. I don't know why it's still being made. Future State is like even in the rear view now, especially now that James Tynion's Batman's run is done and the Magistrate and the Peacekeepers and all that stuff is squarely in the past at this point. So I really don't see a value in that book, and I'm stupid for continuing to get it. And I saw somebody in the chat mention Eternals. I do quite enjoy the Eternals run. I like it more than this. It's still probably near the bottom of my favorite books on my pull list. However, the Eternals I can recognize as being well written, and it's drawn well. It's not necessarily I think I might just not really identify with that corner of the Marvel Universe, but especially in the second story arc, I am enjoying it more and more with each issue. It is growing on me. Not Future State Gotham. If anything, I'm less and less invested as it goes. So that's that. All right, Carolina Chris, the only DC books I'm currently picking up right now, I believe, is Swamp Thing and Refrigerator Full of Heads. Okay. Those are two really good books. There's a lot of other good books, but that's an interesting pair of DC books to be subscribed to. But I like them. Here you go. Here's a good DC book. Superman, Son of Kal-El. This is issue number 8. I got the B cover. I've gotten the B covers for this whole run. Travis Moore with Tamra Bonvillain. I believe she does the colors. I don't know a lot about this Is it Aqua Lad? This young Aquaman guy. But I got the impression from this story that I think he's almost like a Green Lantern, but with water. Like he can create shapes out of water. Like it looks like here he's got like water blades or something. And in the course of this issue, he uses water in very solid kind of constructive ways. But this is part 2 of a 2-part kind of, I assume this is I don't want to say a fill-in issue or anything because it feels like it's in between story arcs. But the plot here is basically some bad guys have caused this giant ocean creature to rise out of the ocean and storm towards Metropolis to try and instigate a attack on the city by a giant monster. And Superman and is it just Aquaman? Are they both just taking over the roles? Anyway, they team up to try and gently get this monster to turn around and not go towards the city and cause a big tidal wave and a bunch of destruction. But other corporate-backed quasi-superheroes, kind of bad guys, have it in their mind that they need to just fight this thing, just straight out combat and fight it, and things go bad. But this is a 2-part story, and it just wrapped up with this issue. It was a nice little condensed storyline. Aqualad? I think that's right. That's what I want to say. Aqualad, but I don't know. This was my first comic reading. This was my first comic I read with that guy in it. He might have been in the last issue. But in here, at the end of this one, they tease that the story continues in Nightwing 89 for part 1 of a 2-part crossover. So yeah, I think Superman number 9 and Nightwing 89 is going to be another 2-part story, which I'm looking forward to because they're both written by Tom Taylor and they're both 2 of my favorite DC books right now. This has been a fun book pretty much from the get-go. Read it because I said so. There's a new title coming out called Aquaman. Yeah, starring both versions. I have seen that. I passed on that one. I don't know, I've only really ever enjoyed the Jeff Johns New 52 run of Aquaman. I haven't tried much else, but we'll see. Pretty sure he's the son of Black Manta. That could be cool. We're about halfway done with this pull list. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Oh boy, here we go. This is Monkey Meat number 2 from Image Comics, written and drawn by Juni Ba. I really want to look into this guy. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about before in a book that I don't like, but I can respect that this book is just not for me. I don't think it's bad. It's wacky. It's very strange. It goes over my head. It's either that or I just don't like it. I can't tell if this is color rub on my cover or if it's supposed to have all these white speckles all over the cover. Hopefully it's supposed to look like that. Otherwise, I'll be disappointed. But the first issue of this comic deals with an island where monkeys are killed and shoved into cans of meat and sold for profit. And this corporation that makes the monkey meat food cans is looking for bigger and better ways to expand their product line. The story in here is almost secondary. Junie Ba, I'm assuming, has some background in, like, it looks like he's a graffiti artist. That's the vibe I get from this guy. The art in here is bonkers. I'll just show this page. This issue in particular leans very heavily into the manga influence as well, very directly even. This kid on the front, the main character of this issue. It's an anthology series, by the way. So this character is really into Naruto, I believe. I think that's who they're trying to say back here. He's a kid who's super into manga, and he drinks this energy drink that talks to him from a vending machine, and like basically says, I'm gonna find it. Yeah, he's walking down the hallway, and this energy drink just starts talking to him from a vending machine. He's like, "Hey, kid, I'm a god stuck in a possessed can of soda. What's it look like?" Okay, and he ends up drinking this energy drink and gets superpowers. And he's just super. I wish my brother was in this chat right now, because he's the manga one between the two of us. He knows exactly what character this is referencing. He looks very Japanese, very very teenage Japanese angry boy right here. The giant collar and the scar down his eye, just very badass with the hair. Again, I can recognize the talent and the creative spark. It's more than a spark. There's all kinds of creativity just pouring out of this comic. But the story is a little too wacky and out there for me. It is a 5-issue miniseries, an anthology series, so I'm going to stick it out. I definitely enjoyed this second issue more than I enjoyed the first one. It feels much more like an anthology book than the first one did. Yeah. See it on the back. Lugs Soul Juice. Get a boost. And they mean it. You get a real big boost with superpowers. I can literally say I have no idea what's going to happen in issue 3 of this book, which is kind of fun. I'm noticing a theme in my pull list lately is I need something different. I think after a couple years of just being pretty much exclusively superheroes, I needed to lean more heavily into indie stuff. And Monkey Meat is about as indie as it gets. I always like it when one person does the whole book. Just the writing, the art. It's much more of a. I'm impressed by the talent it takes to do all of it. Normally, a comic is handled by a team of people, and seeing one guy have such it might be a wacky and insane vision, but he's got a vision, and I respect that part of it, if nothing else. Speaking of indie books, I picked up this today from the shop. This is not new. This is the Geiger trade paperback, Volume 1. I'm trying to get more trades. I have a habit of... I really like deluxe hardcovers. You've seen me unbox several of those on this stream before. I really like deluxe hardcovers, and as a result of that, I tend to, especially on recent books that I really like, I tend to not get the trades just because I want to wait for whatever hardcover eventually comes out. And if no hardcover ever comes out, then I'm just stuck. And Geiger is a book in particular that I can see myself in the future letting go of my first, 6 issues? Yeah, 6 issues in here. So I would sometime in the future like to sell my 6 issues, single issues of Geiger, maybe at a claim sale or something from the Golden Age Guru. However, I kind of feel like I want to hold on to it. I think it might be too early to sell Geiger. I have faith in this. I feel like this would make a really cool show or a movie. I really like Geiger, and I wanted to have a trade paperback so I could read it again without having to. I don't like reading issues. Obviously, I have the glove. I get paranoid. I get nervous that I'm going to damage something, and a trade paperback collection is much more. I don't want to say disposable because that implies I will beat the hell out of it. But if something were to happen to this book, I could just go get another one. Versus tracking down a glow-in-the-dark copy of Geiger #1 to replace the one that I already have would be. I don't want to deal with that pressure. So, also I could loan this out to people. I don't know who yet. I don't have that many friends, but this is a cool book, and I have faith in it. And I have a lot more trade paperbacks on order. So in the coming weeks, you will see me talk about more and more stuff that I like. Geiger is building a very compelling world, says James Phelps. Seems like Geiger is excelling where Nocterra has dropped the ball. Yes, I completely agree. I have always compared those books directly, too, because I think they come out the same week as each other. I think Geiger and Nocterra are on the same Wednesday, and they're both new indie comics from creators that I loved for their previous superhero work about a decade ago. But I just think that when you get down to it, I think Jeff Johns is a better storyteller than Scott Snyder is. Also, I think the world of Geiger is just more... I don't know. See, the world of Nocterra is cool, but I don't think Scott Snyder is focusing on the right elements of it. Or he's driving too fast in one direction versus slowing down and letting building the world out. So, I don't know. But yeah, I always compare those two books. It's interesting to see that it's not just me. All right. That was my second obvious thing that I couldn't hide this in my stack of comics, because obviously this is Geiger Volume 1. Excited to go home and put that on the shelf. Okay, next up, this is, what is this? Detective Comics number 1052. I thought I read a lot more of the books in this pile already, but this is another one I have not gotten to. I'm going to show off the cover again because Lee Bermejo has just been rocking it on these Detective Comics variants. And normally when an artist is doing variant covers for too long, I tend to get irritated and want someone else to get a chance. But with this one, I'm okay with it. They can keep Lee Bermejo on here as long as they want. Looks like he's getting into the Batmobile, driving into or out of Arkham Asylum. I don't care. This is all mood. This is all tone, and I love it. I also love seeing the Batman on the back of this too, by the way, which I'm very excited for. Only a few weeks away. I'll keep buying both, but Geiger is in the lead. Yes, agreed. Paul says, loving Detective lately. I would agree. I have been enjoying Detective Comics much more than the main Batman book for quite a while now. And especially with this current weekly Arkham Tower storyline, I think it's gotten even better. So if you are like me and you only got one Batman book for the longest time, try Detective Comics. You might be very pleasantly surprised. I think it's a lot more of a grounded storyline than what you normally see in the main Batman book. Did you see the cover A for Detective next week? Penguin looks like a boss. I have not. I've probably got it on my computer because of my job. I would like to say I'll look at it when I'm done, but I will forget. So I'll see it next week if nothing else. What is this? Batman Catwoman. Another one I haven't read. However, I have been getting these and putting them aside. I have not read Batman Catwoman in a long time. It has been very sporadically released. This is issue 10, I think, out of 12. Or is it 10? I don't know how long this series is. I haven't read it since issue 3. Once the first big delay happened, and then it feels like it's coming out every 2 months, every 3 months, and my memory is already totally garbage. So if it's not going to come out regularly, I'm just gonna wait and read it all at once. I've been getting the Jim Lee variants for the entire set too. Kind of wish I was getting the main Clay Mann A covers for this run, but I'd rather have the full set all done by one artist than switch partway through. I enjoyed the first 3 issues, so I'm excited to see how that storyline continues and then ultimately wraps up. I should probably get current on that before it ends. It seems like it's coming out more regularly now, even though it is still kind of slow. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's another one I haven't read. I just haven't read that much in this pile, I guess. Spider-Man 88.BEY. This is one of the Beyond tie-in issues. Even though I think in this story arc in particular, the Beyond stuff, the tie-in stuff, has been a little more relevant than your normal Spider-Man tie-in issue. Also, I would include the Mary Jane Black Cat special that came out a week or 2 ago. It was a little more important than I thought it would be. My instinct is usually to skip this stuff and just stick to the main numbered issues in events like this, but I've been enjoying this Beyond storyline so far, and I don't know, it's a big surprise. I'm kind of gonna miss it when it's all done, and I'm not really looking forward to John Romita Jr. taking over the artwork for the new Amazing Spider-Man #1 that's gonna come out in April. I think it's April. It's coming out soon. What do we got here? This is Primo's #1. Okay, #1 of 4. I missed this last week, but I picked it up from my shop this week, and I just got done reading it before going live. This is a cool book. This is an AWA Upshot miniseries here, 4 issues. This is #1. I like reading stuff that is different. That's kind of been the theme of tonight's show. This book is different. It's a superhero story, but it's got a very strong Mexican flavor. The main character, I believe, is Mexican, and the story deals with the Mayans. It's got it's a superhero / ancient aliens story, which I love. It deals with the oh boy, how do I explain this? So there is a Mayan spaceship back in ancient Mayan times that these two brothers launch off into space to attend some kind of it's almost like an alien conference in outer space. But they go to this conference, and then they get back in their ship to fly back to Earth. And it turns out one of the brothers totally screwed up typing in the coordinates or whatever. And they don't end up coming back to planet Earth until this year, until 2022, when their entire culture is gone. And I don't want to get too much into it, but it's a cool story about 3 cousins who gain superpowers, who are descendants of those 2 space travelers. It actually doesn't. Maybe I read it too fast, but I feel like it doesn't give that much information away in the first issue, which I kind of like. It sets up a cool. Premise. It's very unique in that it is very. Latin flavored? It explores a side of the world, honestly, that is not represented very much, especially in comics. So to see it really leaned into heavily here is it's unique. It's refreshing. It's got a lot of Black Panther vibes in that sense, where you have a kind of separated part of the world that interacts a lot with mainstream superheroes. I'm not explaining this very well, but the story is told from the little kid's perspective, so it's got a lot of youthful energy and humor to it, and I just really liked this. I like seeing the new perspective. Written by Al Madrigal, with art by Carlo Barberi in here too. Primo's was fun. I'm glad that it's only 4 issues. That seems like a pretty good length. Sometimes 5 or 6 is just a little too long. But AWA has been good too about doing volume 2 of some of their stories that worked out really well. So this world that they're setting up in Primo's definitely feels like it could hold a lot more than 4 issues. Okay, we're almost done, sort of. This is I Am Batman #6. If you watched the live show I did just yesterday on Comic Tom, we talked about this run. However, we only talked about the first 5 issues because issue 6 came out today. At the end of issue 5 of this run, the next Batman, Jace Fox is his name, he decides to go to New York City to get out from under the shadow of the main Batman, to get out from under Bruce Wayne's shadow. And this feels like what #1 of this series should have been. This is a very good jumping on point for this character. There's not a lot of DC characters that deal with New York. Normally, these people are in Gotham City or Metropolis or Central City or Keystones, like all these fake, versions of cities that are based on real world locations. So to see somebody directly tackle New York City in this book, it's pretty cool. And there's a tease right here on the first page about a new villain, which is fun. This book it's the best jumping on point for a Batman story that you can find pretty easily. Bruce Wayne, the main Batman, is, even if you find a decent jumping on point, like for example the new Batman run that just started with Joshua Williamson like 2 issues ago, while that's a good jumping on point, you're still kind of expected to know Batman, Catwoman, Joker, Riddler, etc., and all the dynamics, all the characters. Even though it's as clean of a jumping on point as you could hope for, this one is very fresh because he's starting over in a brand new city with a brand new city government, which is probably my favorite part about this issue. You've got a meeting here taking place between the mayor, the deputy mayor, the police commissioner, and all these people trying to figure out what to do now that Gotham City's problems are migrating into their city. The mayor wants to reach out to Batman and be like, hey, let's partner up. Let's take on crime together. And the police commissioner is definitely in the opposite camp, who's basically saying, like, this guy is a vigilante. We got to hunt him down. We can't tolerate this here. Things are just going to escalate if we allow this, let alone endorse it. So there's it's a cool superhero book. It's a very grounded, almost year one kind of flavor of a Batman story, seeing somebody's career, kind of the first steps in their superhero vigilante career. But there's also this stuff happening with the mayor and the commissioner. There's a lot of political maneuvering behind the scenes, which I always appreciate. This is really good. I'm enjoying this, and I think issue 6 really kicked it up to a completely different level, and it's working in a way that I wish it had been the whole time, because when I sat down and talked about this with Tom yesterday, he definitely didn't love this book as much as I do. And I think this week's issue really, it's almost like how it took crossover a while to get to the place it needed to be to really start working in the way that it, to fulfilling the promise of the book. I think we have the similar thing happening here with I Am Batman number 6. Okay, issues 0 and 1 of I Am Batman didn't do much for me. Right now, I'm enjoying Batman, The Continuing Adventures more than any Bat book. I guess I'm just a kid at heart. See, I'm not reading that one. I'm not reading that. I was going to say I'm reading most of them, but there's quite a few I'm skipping. I'm enjoying Detective Comics. I'm enjoying I Am Batman. I'm almost surprised and disappointed at how much I'm not liking the main Batman book by Joshua Williamson. The story is a little goofy, but I think I talked about that last week. Batman the Imposter, however, from last year was one of my favorite Batman books I have read in a very long time. Give that one a shot, but I'm not reading Adventures Continue. This is Bylines in Blood, number 2 from Aftershock Comics. I am surprised at how much I'm enjoying this book. This has been a fun read so far. I'm assuming, like most Aftershock books recently, this is a miniseries, maybe 4 or 5 issues long. It is about a reporter who is trying to... Sorry, let me back up. She is not a reporter. She is a private investigator who used to be a reporter who is trying to track down... Actually, she finds him here at the beginning of this issue. There's like this invisible man who murdered her mentor, and her mentor's daughter has asked if she would help track down whoever killed her father. And it's in this kind of future, sort of cyberpunky sort of world. Near future, I want to say. It's not like Batman Beyond or some kind of intense future. But yeah, I really like the art in here. I think the colors are really cool. I like how her jacket has this like yellow color, and it pops a lot when you zoom out. Especially, it helps you identify her in a crowd. But it's been a fun kind of like noir detective story, which I always like. Your mileage may vary. She's definitely has a lot of echoes of Jessica Jones. She definitely likes her alcohol, just like Jessica Jones. But she doesn't have powers or anything, so the combat is not as super powered as it would be in a Jessica Jones comic. But effectively, if it helps you, just think of this like a Jessica Jones story. This will make a cool trade when it's all said and done. I don't think there's that many people reading it, so at least I'm not hearing anybody talk about it. No, I just really like the colors. It's a lot of neon kind of city colors. There's that purple up here in the corner, and like the yellow of her dress, and the red of the background, and I don't know. The colors in here are just fun. It's a surprise. I kind of got this book thinking it was just going to be an average detective story, but it's a little bit more than that, and I'm enjoying it. I think we're going to talk about it this week on Comic Talk Live. I think we're still ironing out our list of books that we're going to discuss on that live stream later in this week. But for now, you're getting a little preview of my opinions on Bylines and Blood, number 2. I like that cover a lot, too. Moon Knight, number 8. I have not read this one yet either. I am lame. I am trash. This is a Devil's Reign tie-in, according to the little corner up here. Hopefully it's not bad. I don't really like tie-ins on principle. Ryan, you're going to read the Dinosaur Justice League. Am I bad for not knowing what that is? Did I miss an announcement or something? I haven't gotten to my DC pre-orders. King of Spies. This is issue number 3 out of 4. I got to talk about this one. This is another one that I know is not for me. I don't think I like Mark Millar. I don't think. He does have a pretty impressive track record when it comes to things that he has written, and I do kind of appreciate how it's a little bit braggy, but he does have a list of every book he has written in the back. And he's certainly written a lot of classics, so you can't fault him for that. Superman Red Son, he's written a really important Wolverine run. He wrote Civil War, Old Man Logan, to say nothing of his independent stuff. But this is a 4-issue miniseries about a spy who finds out he has a terminal disease. I think it's cancer. Whatever he has, he only has 6 months left to live. So he makes the decision to kind of go off the books and start eliminating people that he helped put into power or keep in power. It's a very action-packed kind of globe-trotting. But yeah, most of the book is just like this. Just shooting. It's I think this would make a better movie or show than it would a comic. It is not my speed. It's a little too light. I don't know, fluffy, action focused. I get the sense that I really want, if they do make this into a movie, I really want Pierce Brosnan to play the role of the old dying spy here. I don't know. He's just got a very ex-James Bond flavor, and I think if you cast Pierce Brosnan in that role, it would really hammer that home. I don't know if there are any plans on making this into a movie, but I'm already casting it in my head. But yeah, it's interesting. It's only 4 issues. This one, I kind of feel like it could use another issue to really flesh out the world a little more. Basically, once this guy goes rogue and starts assassinating a lot of important world figures, the government reaches out to his son to track him down. It's cool, but I feel like it's not that unique, and it's a little too much. Like these guys on the cover here, this is a brother and sister like assassin team. I think they're brother and sister. Either way, he gets his legs blown off, and she gets her arms blown off, and so she ends up like strapping him to her back as a backpack to be her arms, and she is his legs. I would have liked this a lot more as a teenager. Excuse me. Okay, what is this? 3 books left. Radium Black, number 12? This is issue number 12, yeah. This was fun. This has been one of my favorite books of the last year, though. I wrote, I don't remember what number I put this on, but this found its way to my top 10 books of 2021. If I can get it out of the bag, we'd be in business. So Radium Black is, it's easiest to kind of compare it to Power Rangers in the sense that there is a loose affiliation with several different superheroes who all kind of have similar outer space kind of cosmic powers, and they're different colors. So the main character of this series is a they call him Radium Black, but his costume and his powers are blue. He's like a blue I want to say Blue Ranger, but that's not fair. And throughout the course of the story, he meets a version of himself who is red. And then this book delves into the origin of like the pink one. They need better names. I don't know if they have names. I don't think they do. At least not like superhero names like that. But we find out that this girl is a Twitch streamer. And right out the gate, we get that sense of like the real personal, real grounded approach to the characters that I loved so much about the early issues of Radium Black. When you get introduced to the main character in a really organic way that I personally identified a lot with, and that is shown on full display here in Radium Black number 12. About I'm just going to call it Radiant Pink. I don't know if there's a better name. That doesn't sound good to me, but she basically the gist of this story. This is a flashback showing how she got her powers, but she is a live streamer, and something goes wrong with her microphone, and she runs out to Best Buy to try and get a new one. It doesn't work, but she ends up meeting the guy there is very helpful to her, and he asks her to come back later. And it turns out this is Radiant Yellow, who we have also met in earlier issues of this run. And he kind of gives her... Apparently there's just this... In this story, there's like black holes is what they're referred to. And they're just kind of like floating in there. And in the first issue of Radiant Black, our main character, Nathan, walks up to it and just touches it. And that's how you get the power. And apparently this Radiant Yellow guy just found this pink one inside of a donut shop somewhere that he has the keys to. It's a little weird, but he gives this power to her. And I love this 2-page spread here. The power that she gets from this is teleportation. So it basically works like the video game Portal, where you throw up one portal, you walk through it, and you come out of another one. Yeah, you can see it right here. But it does a good job of showing you how effing scary that would be if you are just suddenly just, boom, you had those powers all of a sudden, and you don't know what the hell to do, and you are just flying through the world, unable to really kind of get your bearings or figure out what's going on. And this is the final issue of the story arc right before... this is going to tie in and spin off into a couple of other series next month, or this month even. A book called Supermassive, which is going to feature Radiant Black and 2 new superheroes in that same universe. And there's one other book, the title I can never remember. Whatever. I really like Radiant Black. It's one of my favorite books. It's a fresh, original superhero story. I've always compared it to Invincible and Power Rangers, but I like it more than either one of those things. It has a lot of similar DNA to both of those stories, but I think it's much more of an effective story than Invincible or Power Rangers. Ooh, okay. Okay. Right out the gate, I'm just going to say it right here. This might be my favorite cover so far this year. Justice League Annual 2022. This is the B cover by Alex Maleev, who I just love. By the way, Alex Maleev just so happens to do our Thor variant for the Mystery of Mail Call this month. Kind of cool to see those side by side. Thor and Batman. I really like his artwork. Oh my goodness, where did I pull this out of? I'm going to give somebody 2 of these. Okay, yep, it was that box. Justice League Annual 2022 with potentially, I'd have to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure this is my favorite cover of the year. And that is the only good thing I can say about this comic. This, I want to like throw it on the ground because I'm that angry. But Brian Michael Bendis has gone from my favorite writer to not my favorite writer, all within the span of 2-ish years. Ever since he got to DC and started telling superhero stories, but even before that, honestly, I think his glory days were 20 years ago at Marvel when he was doing Ultimate Spider-Man and New Avengers, and he was just a very fresh writer who had a lot of really good ideas. And I think he has really fallen off, and there is no better example of that than his run on Justice League, which is about to be over. It's so frustrating. He has the worst habit of writing sarcastic teenage dialogue for every character he writes. And that works really well for Spider-Man. I think that's part of why Ultimate Spider-Man feels so fresh and original, because Peter Parker, Spider-Man, has this attitude that he has never really consistently had before. And Brian Michael Bendis really just kind of zoomed in on that and made that an identifying part of the character. And as he's writing on New Avengers, he's got characters like Tony Stark on the team who fits a pretty sarcastic, humorous role. Spider-Man is also on that team. But even throwing in a couple of serious characters to counteract the silly ones that he's got. So he had Wolverine and Captain America also on the New Avengers. And there was a lot of humor seeing them play off against Spider-Man and against Tony Stark. But you fast forward, 17 years to give him the Justice League, the big team book at the other main publisher. And I feel like he's almost regressed as a writer. Like, there is nobody on this team who really has that sense of humor that Bendis likes to write. Green Arrow and Flash are the only members of the team I'm looking at here who can. I guess Naomi is also on this team. She's young, so she could pull off that sarcastic, humorous edge. But he has Batman and Superman kind of cracking jokes in this run a lot, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And not only that, the events happening in this book, the plot line of every issue is just boring. And I get the sense that he doesn't care. I get the sense that somebody at DC told him, we just need you to do a run for however long this run was. It wasn't very long in the grand scheme of things. I wish this had a number on it. He's leaving at 74, I think. I don't know. He was on this run for maybe a year, a little longer than that. I'd have to go back and double check. But it has very strong vibes of just tell your story and get out. Like, there's no... I'm not explaining this as well as I need to be, but there's no sense of like importance. Or when he was writing New Avengers, you got the feeling that he was tapped into something and that he was really enjoying it, and that Marvel was more than happy to let him tell the story he was telling and to let those events that spun out of that story kind of be the centerpiece of the whole Marvel universe at that time. Whereas when he's writing Justice League, which should be the centerpiece of the DC universe, this doesn't really tie in with any of the other books either, which is another thing that I find frustrating about current DC comics, is there's not a lot of interconnectivity. This book has a lot of connections to his other comics. Naomi is part of this team, which is his recently finished miniseries that's about to get a season 2, which I did really like. He connects this book a lot to his run on Leviathan and Checkmate, which he just wrapped up. There's some Legion stuff in here that he's starting to drop for the new Legion versus Justice League story that's just kicking off. Some characters from his Superman run have showed up in here. So he's willing to connect this Justice League comic to other things that he has done within the own little DC Bendis verse. But it feels very much removed from the main DC continuity. Like, Superman is in this comic. The main Clark Kent Superman, when he's not even in this, I feel like I'm sounding like such a comic book nerd here, but he's not even in this planet. He's he's off in outer space in War World trying to fight Mongol, and Jonathan Kent is Superman of Planet Earth, who also shows up here as Superman. They are just side by side, and I haven't even gotten into the plot of this annual, but it brings Wonder Woman back from the dead into the main Justice League team again. It just feels very much like he's putting the pieces back into the box before stepping off and setting it up for whatever happens after he's gone. It's just disappointing. The Justice League run by Brian Michael Bendis has just been disappointing from the beginning. Have not enjoyed it. Smart move having those gloves on because those cardstock covers catch fingerprints. Yeah, that's the exact reason. I learned that the hard way with my cardstock variant for Nice House on the Lake #1. It has a bunch of fingerprints on it because I took my time and read that slowly. And I'm gonna try and clean them off or something. You can try Bendis's Joy Operations from Dark Horse. I'm not enjoying that book either. That's another one. It's a 5-issue miniseries. Issue 3 just came out, and I feel like it's still going nowhere. Like it still feels like issue 1. Like that's a different conversation that I'll save for whenever the next issue of Joy Operations comes out. But Sal Felix, I have not been enjoying that book either. I am looking forward to when he brings back his book Cover with David Mack that he wrote for DC a couple years ago. I very much enjoyed that book. I liked Scarlet that he did with Alex Maleev. Again, this artist. Scarlet was one of my favorite things I've read in the past few years. I really enjoyed that book. United States of Murder Incorporated that he did with Michael Avon Oeming. I like that a lot too. I think a lot of his indie stuff has much more potential to work for me than his mainstream superhero stuff, especially his current mainstream superhero stuff. I didn't read a lot of the things he wrote at the end of his tenure with Marvel, like X-Men or Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't have any data on those runs, but I don't think I will like them. He's not mad at the annual, just disappointed. No. I am mad. I am mad at this. This run as a whole has been doo-doo for a long time, but this annual in particular is just insulting. There's some kind of time travel story that takes place in here. It introduces the character Omac, who I have no idea who that is. And I should. It's an older character, and Bendis likes to play with a lot of characters from the past. But if you're going to do that, you need to kind of at least give a little bit for a new person to, feel like they can kind of follow the story. I didn't enjoy this annual at all. It's a great cover, and other than that, it exists to bring Wonder Woman back into the Justice League. That's it. Last book, Hotel Volume 2, Number 3. Okay, I'm glad I can end on a book that I liked. This is a book from AWA, my favorite publisher. I will say that every chance I get. AWA Upshot is my favorite publisher. I'm getting everything they put out, and they release everything they put out on the back of every one of their issues, which is very handy. I am subscribed to all of these titles. I've actually all 3 of these I got in this stack today in this very video, which has been cool. Hotel is a horror anthology. This is Volume 2. Hotel Volume 1 was one of the very first books that this company put out back in 2020 when they started. It's actually the reason that I even discovered AWA as a publisher, because I worked at a hotel at the time, and I saw this book in the catalog, and I saw that it was a hotel-based horror story. So I decided to give it a shot, and then I just fell down the AWA rabbit hole from there. But this is a series of one-shots that all take place at the same kind of roadside motel. Could have called it motel, I guess, but then they wouldn't have been able to make it say hell. It would say Mel instead, which isn't cool. But hell is cool. But yeah, each story takes place at this hotel, and each chapter focuses on a different resident of the hotel. But one of the cooler things about it is it will tie in to other issues. So you can see in this panel here, there is a motorcycle gang that was featured very heavily in the previous issue. And you find out that the girl from issue 2 is staying next door to this kind of artist character in this issue. But he finds out that whatever he draws in his little notebook comes to life, I guess. He draws this lady who is actually a character in Volume 1 of Hotel, which is an even older callback. He ends up drawing her in his notebook. She poses for him, and she's flirting with him pretty heavily. It's like Titanic almost. He draws her and then shows her the drawing, and he drew her looking like this. So I guess he's not a realism artist. That's not the right word, but whatever. He drew an interpretation of her to look like this, and she does not take that well and kind of storms off. But then later that night, he hears a scream through the wall and finds out that she has changed into this based off of his drawing. So it's just a cool story. And the more you read of it, the more you can see the threads kind of interconnecting between all of the different chapters, not just from this 5-issue volume 2, but it now has started to tie in back to the original 4-issue run of Hotel, which I love. I love the fact that it's all connected. I love that kind of timeline manipulation. It makes me really want to go back and read all of the. It'll be 9 issues when this volume is done. It makes me really want to go back and read them all at once. I'm pretty sure I sold my first set of Hotel books at a claim sale, which might have been a mistake. I am trying to hold on to all of my AWA books because I have great faith in this publisher, and I think a lot of these properties will make very cool movies or shows at some point down the line once Hollywood catches on to the fact that this publisher has a lot of gold in their backlog that is really going unnoticed right now. Paul says that's a before and after picture of my ex-wife. Well done, Paul. I should wait for the trade? ? Yes, I believe you can get I know you can get the trade of the first volume of Hotel. That is already out and in the world. Start there. But this is cool. This is a cool book. I'm enjoying it more and more every issue, but I was never not enjoying it. I've been on board with Hotel literally from day one. That's the first AWA book I ever had. But I would recommend not only Hotel, but I would recommend take a chance on any book from that publisher. And I think you will like it. I hope you will, because I know I have liked literally everything I have read from them, minus one book. It's good. It's a good ratio. So, yep, that's my list for this week. I've been going for a little over an hour now, so I'm going to sign off of here. I'm going to put some books into mystery mail calls and then get the hell out of here and read the rest of this stack and try and film my best January comics video before February gets too much further. So thank you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week. Later.